fear. So at the time of battle, the angel could see, the shaitan could see the angels, 1,000 angels joining the ranks of the Muslims. And he fled and he screamed and shouted and ran away, saying, "What? I see what you do not see." And he fled. In some hadith, the story is narrated that the devil took the form of Suraka ibn Malik, and he comforted and consoled the mushrikeen Makkah and told them, "I am with you." The same words. You cannot be defeated by any people today, because he was a warrior. He said, "I am with you today. No one will defeat you. We are great in number. We will overrun them like anything." And at the scene of battle, he said, "No, I see what you do not see." And he fled. And when the defeated army of the mushrikeen went back to Makkah, and they said, and they found Suraka ibn Malik over there, they said, "It is because of you that we have lost battle. The morale was lost. You in the middle of the battle said that you have seen something which we do not see and that you fear Allah. You demoralized us. Why did you do that?" And Suraka ibn Malik said, "I never moved from this place all day. What are you talking about?" So Hadith tries to point us to the fact that it could have been possible that the shaitan took the form of Suraka ibn Malik to convince the mushrikeen to go into battle. Now in the Holy Quran it has been mentioned time and time again that do not follow the footsteps of the devil. We can say don't follow the devil, and you can say don't follow the footsteps of the devil. What's the difference? It mentioned in Surah An-Nur, chapter 24, verse 21. "O you who believe, follow not the footsteps of the devil." Footsteps of the devil. If the devil was to come in front of you, or any haram thing was to come in front of you and say, "I am right here," any good Muslim would say no. But when you say footsteps of the devil, it may be something that appears normal, that appears alright, but it leads step by step by step by step towards something which is much bigger, which is a much greater sin, and something that is completely haram and against Islam. Now, according to the hadith from Al-Tabarani, we hear the famous story of Basisa, who was a very devoted worshipper of Allah from among the Bani Israel. A very staunch worshipper, very pious man. Now at that time the king declared jihad on one of the enemies and asked all the men to contribute and join in battle. 3 brothers at this point in time faced a problem. They had a young sister who was not married, and they wanted somebody to take care of her. So they thought, and they talked to each other, and they said, "We know what to do. Let's ask Basisa, the pious man, the holy man, the worshipper of Allah, to take care of her in our absence. I'm sure he will take care of her." When they went to Basisa, Basisa said, "No, she's Namehram. I cannot be with her while you are gone. It will distract me, it will disrupt my worship. This is khalwa, it's forbidden." So the brothers left. Soon the shaitan came to him and said, "What are you doing? These brothers, if they don't keep this girl with you, they'll ask somebody else to do it. You are a pious man, that man might not be very pious. So make up your mind." So then Basisa called them and said, "Fine, I'll take care of her, but this is my house of worship. She will not come here. My actual house is right next door. She can stay there." So arrow 1 of the shaitan launched. Soon he had to prepare food and give it to her. So he used to make food and put it right outside his door. She used to come outside of the house, take the food, go back. Shaitan came again after a few days. "Why are you bothering this young girl? She comes out of the house, she's troubled, there are people watching, she comes, takes the food, goes home. Why don't you put the food in front of her house?" So Basisa started doing that. A few days later, Shaitan came again and said, "Why are you troubling the girl? She opens the door, she comes outside, people watch, she takes the food inside. It's embarrassing. Why don't you go to her house, open the door, put the food inside and run back to your house? Nothing else. And you can carry on with your worship." So Basisa thought about it, sounded logical, did it, went to her house, opened the door, quickly put the food inside, closed the door, ran back to his own house. Then the shaitan came again. Barsisa, ya Barsisa, this woman is all alone. Her brothers are gone. It's been maybe 1 or 2 months now. She needs company. She needs somebody to talk to. You must talk to her. It's inhuman that you're not talking to her. It's very bad, very wrong. If you have to talk, tell her to come on her roof and you go on your roof and talk like that, no problem. Barsisa thought, okay, it's very logical. So he told her, you go on your roof, I go on my roof. So they started talking to each other from the rooftops. Soon, what happened? Shaitan came again and said, this is weird, this is embarrassing, this is awkward. Why don't you tell her to come into her veranda and you go and sit right outside the veranda and talk over there. It's more convenient for both of you. Barsisa thought about it, sounded logical, did it. Then Shaitan came again, each time with a sharper arrow, each time with a better excuse. He said, you are sitting outside, people are watching, it's embarrassing. What will they think? What will they say? If you have to talk to her, go inside and talk to her. Don't sit publicly outside and talk. This is wrong. Barsisa thought about it, said, okay, why not? Let's do this. So he went inside the house and started talking to her over there. Then one thing led to another and the unspeakable happened after a couple of months. They committed the act of zina. And after 9 months, they even had a son. Now Barsisa started to panic. He used to be a good worshipper. He was looking at his life. What had he done? Shaitan came to him and told him, look, any day now the brothers are coming back. War is over. They are coming back any day now. When they come back, they will see the son, and even if they don't, their sister will tell them what happened. And they will kill you. So it is better that you kill both of them immediately. Barsisa thought about it and then finally took the action. He killed the girl and the boy. Buried them. Soon, in a few days, the brothers came back and they went straight to Barsisa's house and said, Ya Barsisa, where is our sister? He started crying and weeping that she's dead, she died of natural causes, I tried to help her, couldn't do it, so on and so forth, and now she's dead. The brothers were very sad, they went back to their house. At night, Shaitan came to them in their dreams, all of them, and showed them what had actually happened. Exposed that Barsisa is a liar and told them what he had done. When the brothers woke up in the morning, they all shared their dreams. They all concluded that they were the same dream. The eldest brother said, no, maybe it's just a coincidence. But the younger brother was convinced that no, this cannot be a coincidence. We must go and talk to Barsisa and ask him what happened. So they all went very aggressively, spoke to Barsisa. Barsisa, what did you do? And Barsisa in panic had to confess. He admitted to everything. At that point, the brothers in their anger said, we will crucify you. We will torture you to death of what you have done. So now Barsisa is in a state where he is on the cross, he is about to be crucified, and Shaitan comes in again and says, Barsisa, I can save you, Barsisa, but you have to do me a favor. Barsisa was confused, panicked, scared, everything. He said, tell me and I'll do it. Just tell me, get me out of this cross. He said, if you belie in Allah, if you reject Allah, your so-called creator, I will save you right now. Just announce it that you do not believe in Allah. That I am your companion. Allah is not your companion. I will save you. Barsisa, what did he do? He rejected Allah Ta'ala at that time. And what did Shaitan do? Fled. Immediately fled, happily. And the brothers crucified Barsisa in a state where he was just become an unbeliever, where he had just accepted kufr openly. And there is no bigger sin than shirk. It is the unforgivable sin. So all his good deeds, whatever he had been worshipping for years and years and years, all down to zero. Because right before his death, he said, all of that which I have done was garbage. That was nothing. I rejected. I was wrong to have done that. It mentions in the Holy Quran in Surah Al-Hashr, chapter 59, verses 16 and 17, the devil says to the human being, disbelieve. Then as soon as he disbelieves, he says, I disown you. I fear Allah, Lord of the universe. destiny of both of them is hellfire, wherein they will abide forever. This is the requital for the transgressors. So Allah Ta'ala tells us in Surah Al-Hashr that the shaitan will tell you disbelieve. As soon as you disbelieve, he says, I disown you, I fear Allah, I know Allah, I've seen Allah. And then the end result is both will go to hell.